you're standing in your kitchen at 2 a.m. in your pajamas and you're holding a half-eaten slice of leftover pizza in one hand and your phone in the other. And you're about to make a financial decision that could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Does that sound familiar? Okay, it's just me. Well, stick around because I'm about to tell you about the time that I did exactly that and the 7 decision-making strategies that saved me from what could have been a $1 million mistake. Welcome back to our channel here. And if you're new, I'm here to help business owners, retirees, and successful individuals make smarter financial decisions. You know, the kind that lets you sleep soundly instead of wandering about your kitchen at 2 a.m. questioning your life choices. But before I became the person that most people trusted, yes, this is about me as well, I was the guy who once spent time in Costco comparing prices, especially things like paper towels. And we'll look at this price per square foot. And what I was ignoring was the fact that there were some big financial mistakes and investment mistakes that would be 20 times my annual paper towel budget. So that's where, as a financial advisor, I can give great help to others and help them make smart money moves. But somehow, I wouldn't look back on myself. And yes, I was buying the sure thing in a tech stock at midnight was totally different than the impulse buying a 64 pack of paper towels. No, it actually wasn't. Because here's what I've learned after doing both of those. Working with hundreds of successful people that were all human. And as humans, we make decisions. And sometimes we make the same decisions about eating the potato chips or the pizza at 2 a.m. And we start with good intentions, but somehow we end up with ourselves elbow deep in the bag, wondering how we got there. So let's talk a little bit more about that. You see, let's call him Bob. He built an incredible, successful manufacturing business over 30 years. And this is a guy who could negotiate millions of dollars in contracts in his sleep. And he could spot a bad business deal from 3 states away. But when it came to his retirement planning, he once told me that he would choose his 401k investments by picking the funds with the friendliest sounding names. And yes, that is the truth, because this is something that I recognize as well, that all the funds were very similar, they acted the same thing, and that's still true today. So he had something in his investments called the Happy Growth Fund. That's what it was. And I didn't have the heart to tell him that it was an aggressive growth fund, just renamed. So he was been really thinking about it for years in just different ways. But the scary truth is that he was one bad financial decision away, and he could undo decades of smart business ones. You see, he was a business owner. He had built an 8-figure company, and he could lose half of his wealth because of making emotional decisions during volatile times in the market. And yes, there's a lot of those. And what about a retiree, though, who has set his life up, but suddenly he's worried about running out of money because he followed his brother-in-law's stock tip instead of sticking to the plan? You see, both of these are real. Both of these happen. But here's the good news. And this is why I'm so passionate about this topic, is because great decision making isn't about being smarter than everyone else. It's about having a system. And today, I'm going to share with you the 7 steps in the system that helps my clients make better decisions and avoid costly ones. They actually enjoy the wealth that they've worked so hard to build. So let's talk about, let's say, a successful real estate investor who came to me because she was tired of making money, but she was not feeling really wealthy. Well, it turns out that she'd been focused on buying all of these properties, which is exactly what you need to do to help with your cash flow. And yes, they cash flowed well, but she didn't stop to think about what she was actually going to do with her money and what she wanted to do with her life. So we talked a little bit more, and she realized that she didn't want to be a landlord forever. She wanted to travel with her husband and spend time with their grandkids. So, with our help, she had restructured her entire portfolio around that goal. And now she is really having a fun time in Italy. Instead of fixing broken water heaters and having the 2 a.m. calls. So here's the lesson with all of this. Before you make any major financial decisions, get crystal clear on what you're really trying to achieve. And it's not what your neighbor achieved. And it's not what some guru on the internet has wanted you to achieve. But it's what you actually want and what you want your money to do for your life. That is the first strategy right there. Is it take some assessment of yourself and find out what you actually want. Well, now let's dive into strategy number 2, is defining the decision. And this one's about understanding the ripple effects. And maybe it's early retirement. And that's a great goal. But when we mapped out what early retirement actually meant, especially for ones that need to put more and more money away to make that happen, it may require you to work multiple hours, longer than you wanted. I was talking to one recently that it was required working 80-hour weeks for 5 years in order to put away enough money to make this happen. But in the meantime, he would be missing his daughter's high school career. And depending on things, his marriage may suffer to the point that is kind of irreconcilable just because of that. So suddenly this retirement plan where he could actually be retiring early may not have sounded so good. And so enjoying the journey looked a little bit more appealing after he started going through some of these decision processes and realizing that he may have been solving for the wrong problem. Well, then that is really coming back to strategy number 3, which is choose your decision-making techniques and choose them wisely as well. Because here's where it really gets interesting. Research actually shows that we have 2 modes of working here with respect to the decisions that we make and the techniques. We can either be exploitative and we can really be sticking with what we know, or we can be an explorationist and we try new things. Both are really good places to be, and both can really treat you well. Let me talk about an incredible, successful restaurant owner. He was a master exploiter in business, so he did the things the same over and over. He opened 12 different locations and used the exact same proven formula. But in his investing, he was constantly changing and chasing the latest trends. They were day trends, they were crypto buying strategies, and whatever the hot stock tip is on Reddit. But he was exploring it in all the wrong places. And once we flipped his approach. So now he explores new business opportunities. So yes, he has a food truck now as well. And it's his first real innovation in this stint in 20 years. But what happens is that he takes a look at the proven investment strategies that's there that work for his investments while he can be exploring new ideas in his business. So the high stress levels that he had, well, they dropped because his returns started to improve. And that's a part of it as well. Here's the other thing. Strategy number 4. Keep your fear in check. And yes, there's many stories about this. There's many stories that I'm sure that you have about trying to keep your fears in check and how they help make bad decisions if left unchecked. Well, let's go back to 2020 and the height of the pandemic. And yes, markets were crashing at the time, and there were many people that were convinced that the world was ending, and to sell everything and to buy gold bars and to bury everything in the backyard. And yes, I'm not making this up because there was a lot of people that were looking to do just that. And maybe they even researched shovels just to make sure that they could have one that was ergonomically designed for them. But here's the thing. We can't let our thinking take over like this, especially the catastrophic thinking. Because if we use a simple technique, we can imagine the worst case scenario. And then we should also imagine the best case scenario and what probably actually may happen. You see, which one is going to be closest to reality? it wasn't the backyard gold mine that was there. As we start thinking through, a lot of these worst case scenarios never manifest, but our mind continually keeps going back to them. So if we can shift that just a little bit to focus on the better outcome, that makes all the difference. Well, strategy number 5 then is give your gut a seat at the table. Now this is my favorite one because it sounds so unscientific, but the research is really fascinating. That people with brain damage affecting logic, they can still make good decisions. But people with emotional damage couldn't decide anything, even what to eat for lunch. So yes, your gut isn't just about being dramatic. It's processing information. Your logical brain might miss it, but this is really crucial. It needs to work with your logic, not instead of it. Now, I once had a client whose gut told him not to invest in her best friend's guaranteed business opportunity. And her logic was that the numbers looked good, but as we dug deeper into it and found out that the friend had been kind of fudging some of the numbers financially, that really made the shift. So yes, the gut won out, but the friendship unfortunately did not. But it did save a lot of money. Strategy number 6. Don't ignore your values. Here's a quick story. I had a client who basically was offered a job that would triple his income, but require him to travel 300 days a year. I mean, literally be sleeping out of different motels, hotels every single night, and just be with a backpack and a suitcase. And it made some financial sense, but his family values said no. And so he stayed put. He didn't take that job. But over the course of the next number of years, he got promoted. And one of the promotions really actually had him making more than what he would have been making at the other position. And he was still able to come home for dinner and be with his kids. So sometimes, even though that may be worse in the moment, that financial decision may be one of the best ones for a life decision. Now, let's come into strategy number 7. We want to gather other people's viewpoints, but do it carefully. You see, this is something that you can take a poll at and you can find out for yourself. Do something like this. When you're at dinner, ask your entire family for some investment advice. So think of it like a Thanksgiving dinner. I candidly did this one year just to see what would happen. And yes, there was one person that does a lot of day trading that had some very different opinions from, say, one of my other family members who worked at a financial institution, and they were completely different than my grandmother, who would say put it all into CDs at the bank, like the good old days. But it all started to make sense that all of these people have different viewpoints and different suggestions for you and your money. So the key is to ask the right people, not just anyone with an opinion and an internet connection, but then we need to process them and look at it through your lens, not theirs. So here's the bottom line. These are 7 strategies that help my clients here at Lions Wealth to make better financial decisions. And they help to avoid costly mistakes and actually enjoy their wealth instead of consistently worrying about it. But here's what I want you to do. Here's what I want you to understand, that you don't have to figure this all out alone. You don't have to have that 2 a.m. kitchen moment that I had mentioned at the beginning here. And yes, it has happened. I think we've all been there before, where we've been awake and not really thinking about the correct things at 2 a.m. Now, with a sanity check, we can help you, we can help others, business owners, other individuals, try to figure out whether it's exit strategies, a retirement deal, or just making sure that your money will last. And yes, there's been a lot of successful people, and it feels like your financial plan sometimes is held together with duct tape, even though the other parts of your life seem really good. But those financial decisions are too important to leave to chance and to leave to that duct tape. So here's what I want you to do. First off, if this was helpful, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. It's really helpful to help other people find us and to understand some of the decision makings that they're going through and helping them to connect. And if you're serious about making a smart financial decision, you can watch more of our content here because we do provide this to help you and some of the tax strategies, some of the different elements there, and to figure out where you're going to go for today, tomorrow, and in the future. But most importantly, and this is really what I want from you, if you're sitting here thinking, I wish I had someone to help me think through some of the specific situations, then let's talk. You see, I offer a complimentary second opinion where we can have a review of your current strategies and then identify some potential blind spots and make sure that you're not missing an opportunity. And this is not going to be a sales pitch, no, because it's the conversation. And sometimes that's the most valuable thing that we can do. It's not talking about the new investments and what's working better. It's just really talking about you, your experiences, and where you're wanting to go. And really sit back and say, yes, either you're on the right track, or here are a couple things that we could do to make this better and to improve it. So the link below can help to schedule your meeting and give us a call, because we can definitely help to find a time that fits for you and works to help make sure that you are on the better path for the decisions that you want to make with your financial future. With that, take care, and I hope I never have to hear about a 2 a.m. decision that you made that was not the greatest at the time. But I look forward to hearing from you. Take care.